Good evening. Tonight is Good Friday, and throughout the centuries, Christians have gathered on Good Friday to remember the crucifixion. Jesus died, if not one of the most, the loneliest of deaths. Convicted as a felon and silenced once and for all as a heretic, mocked as a king of the Jews, he died in agony, asking why even God had forsaken him. His disciples abandoned him, those he had befriended, taught, fed, promised paradise. They were nowhere to be found, like sheep scattered from their shepherd. They thought only to save their own skins. He died in agony from one of the most cruel forms of execution, the cross. Its victims were made to suffer in public, excruciatingly and slowly suffocating as the chest collapsed and crushed the diaphragm. It was, I say, a desecration from the beginning toward God, because in Genesis that earth critter came to life upon the breath of God. To suffocate that breath from anyone is a desecration. And so it was one of the cruelest forms of death, especially to the Son of God. A soldier sometimes drove a sword upward through the abdomen into the lungs to make sure the prisoner was dead. Many who were executed in this manner hung for days as a reminder of the empire's power and a threat to anyone else who would be disobedient. Why do we do this? Relive this evening, this crucifixion. If not to see the suffering obedience of Jesus, the Son of Man, and that trust he placed in God. And I think we do it too to ask ourselves, could we have been this obedient, endured this suffering, held the same trust in God through it all? Would we have fallen away as those first disciples? And do we fall away even now in whatever way, large and small? Let's call ourselves to worship, mindful of the gravity of this evening. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed.
Then one of the 12, who was called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What will you give me if I deliver him to you?" And they paid him 30 pieces of silver. And from that moment, he sought an opportunity to betray him.
Betrayed.
Jesus would
While he was still speaking, Judas came, one of the 12, and with him a great crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, "This is the one I shall kiss. The one I shall kiss is the man. Seize him." And he came up to Jesus at once and said, "Hail, Master," and he kissed him. Jesus said to him, "Friend, why are you here?" Then they came up and laid hands on Jesus and seized him.
Arrested.
At that hour, Jesus said to the crowds, "Have you come out with swords and clubs to arrest me as though I were a bandit? Day after day I sat in the temple teaching, and you did not arrest me. But all this has taken place so the scriptures of the prophets may be fulfilled." And then all the disciples deserted him and fled.
Deserted.
Then those who had seized Jesus led him to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders had gathered. Now the chief priests and the whole council sought false testimony against Jesus that they might put him to death, but they found none, though many false witnesses came forward. At least 2 came forward and said, "This fellow said, 'I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days.'" And the high priest stood up and said, "Have you no answer to make? What is it that these men testify against you?" But Jesus was silent, and the high priest said to him, "I adjure you by the living God, tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God." Jesus said to him, "You have said so, but I tell you, hereafter you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his robes and said, "He has uttered blasphemy. Why do we still need witnesses? You have now heard his blasphemy. What is your judgment?" They answered, "He deserves death."
Accused.
Now Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard, and a maid came up to him and said, "You also were with Jesus the Galilean." But he denied it before them all, saying, "I do not know what you mean." And when he went out to the porch, another maid saw him, and she said to the bystanders, "This man was with Jesus of Nazareth." And again he denied it with an oath, "I do not know the man." After a little while, the bystanders came up and said to Peter, "Certainly you are also one of them, for your accent betrays you." Then he began to invoke a curse on himself and to swear, "I do not know the man." And immediately the cock crowed. And Peter remembered the saying of Jesus, "Before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times." And he went out and wept bitterly.
Disowned.
Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus said, "You have said so." But when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he made no answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear how many things they testify against you?" But he gave him no answer, not even to a single charge, so that the governor wondered greatly. Pilate said to them, "Then what shall I do with Jesus, who is called Christ?" They all said, "Let him be crucified." Then he released for them Barabbas, and having scourged Jesus, delivered him to be crucified.
Condemned.
Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium, and they gathered the whole battalion before him. And they stripped him and put a scarlet robe upon him, and platted a crown of thorns. They put it on his head, and put a reed in his right hand. And kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they spat upon him, and took the reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the robe, and put his own clothes on him, and led him away to crucify him.
Ridiculed, beaten.
As they went out, they came upon a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. This man they compelled to carry his cross. And then they came to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of a skull. They offered him wine to drink, mingled with gall, but when he tasted it, he would not drink it. And when they had crucified him, they divided his garments among them by casting lots.
Crucified.
Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?
Forsaken.
And Jesus cried again with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit.
Dead.
That is our Good Friday service, prelude to what you may experience tomorrow in your own meditations and following the holy vigil of Saturday. And I hope that I can see you on Sunday to celebrate a well-deserved Easter faith for all of us. Please be safe as you leave tonight and drive home.